Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. And if you thought you were ready for what we are about to unpack today, I promise you, you were absolutely not prepared for this. Luna Nozawa has been hiding something so massive, so deeply life altering, that it threatens to tear apart every single relationship she has ever had in Los Angeles. We are not talking about a simple lie or a minor cover up. We are talking about a secret pregnancy, a secret birth, and a desperate alliance with a man named Remy that has put both of them on a collision course with total destruction. While the people who care about Luna, Finn, Steffi, and Lee have been circling closer and closer to the truth. Luna and Remy have been doing everything humanly possible to keep the walls from caving in. But walls always cave in eventually, and that knock at the door at the end, that changes absolutely everything. Let's go back to where this all really began, because the build up to this moment was not sudden. It was slow, painful, and full of warning signs that everyone around Luna missed or misread entirely. For weeks, people noticed that Luna seemed different. The fire that used to define her, that sharp and combative energy she was known for, had gone quiet. She became withdrawn, guarded, almost ghost like in the way she moved through her own life. And honestly, the people around her made the completely understandable mistake of chalking it up to guilt. Guilt from the chaos she had already caused, the hurt she had already left behind, but that was not what was happening at all. Beneath the surface of all that silence and distance, Luna was carrying something none of them could have ever imagined. She was pregnant. I cannot overstate how alone she must have felt in those early weeks, surrounded by the Finnegan and Forrester families. People with resources, connections, and sharp instincts, Luna made the agonizing decision not to trust a single one of them with her secret. Think about what that kind of isolation does to a person. Every morning, she had to wake up and maintain the performance. Loose clothing became armor. Emotional outbursts were reframed as stress. Every single day was calculated act of survival. She knew with bone deep certainty that if the truth surfaced it would detonate a conflict that would consume everyone, especially Finn, Steffi, and Lee. And then there was Remy. Now, Remy is not your typical knight in shining armor figure, and that is honestly what makes his role in the story so compelling. He came into Luna's life not as a romantic savior, but as something rarer and more complicated, someone who simply understood what it felt like to be on the outside looking in. When Remy found out about the pregnancy, I imagine the shock must have hit him like ice water. But what he did next says everything about the kind of person he is. He didn't run, he didn't expose her. He looked at the fear in Luna's eyes and chose to stay. Against every rational instinct, he agreed to help her. And just like that, his fate became tangled up in hers in ways neither of them could fully comprehend in that moment. As the months passed and the due date crept closer, the pressure Luna was living under became almost unbearable to imagine. Every near miss, every moment where someone almost figured it out, pushed her farther toward the breaking point. She refused to go near a hospital, terrified that medical records would become the thread that unraveled everything. She pulled away from anyone who might have offered genuine support, convinced that isolation was the only shield she had left, and Remy, working quietly and tirelessly in the background, arranged a hidden location where Luna could give birth without a single person in Los Angeles ever knowing it happened. Was it risky? Absolutely. Was it dangerous? Without a doubt. But in Luna's mind, there was simply no other path forward. Then the night came. Not when they planned for it, not in any controlled or prepared way. The night came early, sudden, and completely overwhelming. Luna went into labor ahead of schedule, and the pain hit her before she had any chance to mentally brace for it. Alone, terrified, barely able to stand, she called Remy, and he came, no hesitation, no weighing of options. He just came. I can't even fully wrap my head around what that night must have looked like. A dimly lit room far from any medical professional, far from anyone who could actually help if something went wrong. Luna fighting through contractions with nothing but Remy's voice and presence to hold on to. He is not a doctor, he was not trained for this, and yet there he was, doing the impossible because there was simply no one else. The hours stretched out in what must have felt like an eternity. Every compression, every wave of pain was a brutal reminder of how far outside the bounds of safety they had pushed themselves. Remy kept her as calm as he possibly could, even as his own fear threatened to swallow him whole. And then the baby arrived. The room went still for just a moment, and then came the sound of new life, soft and undeniable. Imagine how that felt. After all the hiding, all the fear, all the sleepless nights, this tiny, perfect person was suddenly real and present and crying in Luna's arms. She wept. Of course, she wept. The relief and the terror and the love all crashed into each other at once. And for just a few seconds, none of it consequences mattered. All that existed was that baby. But reality does not stay suspended for long. Almost immediately, the weight of what came next began pressing down on both of them. A baby cannot be hidden the way a pregnancy can. Questions would come. People would notice. The story they had been telling, or rather not telling, had a new and very visible chapter now, and there was no controlling when or how it would be read. Luna refused to hear it at first. She was still in that raw, emotional space where survival instinct drowns out logic. But Remy, shaken and exhausted, could already see the truth clearly. They were running out of time. Back in Los Angeles, the absence of Luna had shifted from concerning to alarming. Finn, who had already been wrestling with complicated feelings connected to her, crossed the lines from worry into active searching. He began retracing her steps, asking questions, refusing to accept that everything was fine. Steffi, always perceptive and never willing to ignore what her gut was telling her, started connecting details that pointed toward something far more serious than anyone had been willing to say out loud. And Lee, a mother true and true, was already bracing herself for a revelation she feared would shatter whatever stability still existed. The net was tightening, and Luna could feel it even from a distance. The final blow came from the smallest things, as it always does. One overlooked detail, one witness who saw too much, one slip in conversation, one medical supply left in the wrong place, whatever it was enough. The crack in the wall became a fracture, and the truth came rushing toward the surface with the force of everything that had been held back for so long. And then came that knock at the door, sudden, sharp, and final, sending both Luna and Remy into a spiral of pure panic. In that moment, they both knew the secret was over. The impact of the storyline stretches far beyond just Luna's personal consequences. When the truth about the pregnancy and the birth becomes fully known, it will force every person connected to Luna to confront not just what she did, but why she felt she had no choice but to do it alone. Finn will have to reckon with whether his complicated feelings toward Luna contributed to the environment that pushed her into isolation. Steffi will face the reality that her instincts were right all along, and that being right doesn't always feel like a victory. Lee, perhaps most devastatingly, will have to process the fact that the person she is fiercely protective of went through something monumental without ever reaching out to her. And Remy's entire trajectory changes the moment that door opens. He chose to stand beside Luna, and now he will have to stand in the consequences with her. What strikes me most about this entire situation is not the secrecy or even the danger, is the loneliness. Luna made every wrong choice for what she believed were the right reasons. She was trying to protect her child before that child even entered the world. You can disagree with every decision she made and still understand the desperate, cornered place those decisions came from. Remy, for all the tasks he took on, he showed a kind of quiet loyalty that is rare in any story. These are two deeply flawed people doing the best they can in an impossible situation. And that, more than anything, is what makes this so hard to look away from. So, here we are. The secret is out, the door has been opened, and nothing will ever be the same for Luna, Remy, or anyone connected to them in Los Angeles. The question now is not just what happens next, but how everyone survives it. Will Luna finally stop running from the truth and face the people she has been hiding from? How will Finn, Steffi, and Lee respond when they see that baby for the first time? And what does the future hold for Remy now that his life is permanently bound to this moment? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know exactly where you think this goes. If you are as invested in this story as I am, hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss a single update.